Hello. Well, it's a bit difficult to know where to start on this one, but first I'm going to be having some fun with the Labour Party, and I'm going to be talking about one Labour MP in particular, but also about the praise that's being heaped upon the head of Sir Keir Starmer, leader of the aforementioned Labour Party, who's finally come out of the corner, fighting recently, and has been, no sooner has he come out with the old 1-2 than he's been undermined by some recent rather amusing hypocrisy, which the BBC and The Guardian are desperate to paper over, but unfortunately this isn't going to be terribly successful. For you guys outside the UK, when I talk about the Labour Party and socialist hypocrisy, you just substitute any socialist party of your choice in your own country, because somehow they're all the same. So first I'm going to play a clip from a typical member of our socialist intelligentsia addressing the Oxford Union Debating Society, and we're going to be talking about her attitude to stereotypes. All right, here we go.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sorry I'm going to miss your cocktail next week.
Cocktails, indeed. She's going to miss a cocktail party. All right, let's carry on.
But it's a pleasure to be here in front of the fellow members. And as a graduate of the other place, I'm not talking the House of Lords, I mean Cambridge.
So she means Cambridge. Yeah, so here we're establishing, this lady is establishing equality with all the students in the Oxford Union that she is addressing. What a snob. Let's carry on.
Who did SPS.
Oh, she did SPS. That's social and political science. Basically, it's a sociology degree. Okay, let's go on.
It doesn't even exist anymore. In the last century, I would say go easy on me, please. But what do you say to an SPS graduate in McDonald's? Anyone know this one? Big Mac and fries, please. Magic word, remember. But, you know.
Okay, Big Mac and fries. That is an old joke. And I have an idea that everyone in that room knew the answer to it. The reason for the long silence was no doubt because they were too embarrassed to say it. Because what she is doing actually is saying that working in McDonald's is the lowest you can get. Now, I'm going to show you who this lady is. Oh, goodness me. Posh voice and Cambridge degree notwithstanding. And even though she only did an SPS degree, she appears to be not an English rose, but a Bangladeshi water lily. The water lily is the national flower of Bangladesh, just for your information. Now, a few more words of the speech.
All these acronyms, SPS, PPE, isn't that part of the problem? I mean, if you ask the general public, the people outside that door, my electorate, pre-2020, what do they understand by the initials PPE? How many of these degree courses are inscribed on the public consciousness? Most ordinary people wouldn't know what you're talking about, and this is very...
So the poor uneducated masses, what do they know of higher education? You know, any more of a snob and she'd be out snobbing Violet Crawley, you know, the Dowager Countess of Grantham, the one in Downton Abbey, who said to Isabel Crawley at one point something like, just because you're an old widow, there's absolutely no reason to eat off a tray, something like that. But back to Miss Huck. Let's have a look at this.
Insular type of debate we're having. And isn't that part of the problem? The fact that the problem with technocrats and those kind of born to rule people.
Oh, did you notice? Born to rule people. She does seem to think that there are some people born to rule. I mean, she appears to be being snide about them, but no, that wouldn't have occurred to her if she didn't actually think that. Let's carry on.
Is that they trade in this kind of initialese and jargon. And I feel that's part of the problem we should be getting away from. And I speak as a politician, they're a very hated species. You know, we're right down there with used car salesmen and all those untrustworthy sorts.
Used car salesman? Is that the worst she can think of? How about child groomers in Rotherham? Oh no, we can't talk about those. Labour voters, you know. And for the finale...
We need to get away from those kind of stereotypes. So look...
We need to get away from those kind of stereotypes. So, as the very left-wing comedian Mark Steele once remarked, and I paraphrase, nobody hates the British working classes more than the socialists. Well, it turns out he's a little wrong there. Now I'm going to play you a recent clip of Miss Huck. But before I do, I'm going to show you a picture of Kwasi Kwarteng. You will note, if you look at the Wikipedia page, his mother is a barrister and his father an economist. And Kwarteng went to Eton and then on to Cambridge. Now let's listen to some stereotype snobbery from Miss Huck.
No, I'm sorry if I was not making myself understood clearly. He's superficially, he's a black man, but again, he's got more in common. If you look at the, again, it's that Joe Cox thing, more in common. If you look at the character, he went to Eton, I think he went to very expensive prep school, all the way through the top schools in the country. If you hear him on the Today programme, you wouldn't know he's black.
Right, well, if you'd hear her on the radio, you wouldn't know she's Bangladeshi either, would you? This is a Cambridge graduate whose parents were Bangladeshi, telling us that another Cambridge graduate whose parents were Ghanaian isn't really black. Why? Because he doesn't talk ungrammatically? Because he's not a rapper? Because he doesn't look like he's into drugs? Because he's not a plumber or a joiner? Look, I don't think these things, but obviously she does. Now, I'm not going to monetize this video because of the next thing I'm going to say. So I would appreciate your help here. But, okay, here goes. There is no group in the entirety of these islands, no group more supremacist and more racist than those of Pakistani or Bangladeshi extraction. I don't say all are, of course, and every ethnic group has its own prejudices and its own unpleasant people. But just look at the record of the people the press here call Asians. Just look at what they say. Just look at how they act. Just think of, well, Rotherham and Rochdale. Things like that can be done only by people who despise those others surrounding them. We don't get this stuff from Chinese or Sikhs or Hindus, do we? So that's why I'm saying it, even though this might turn out a little tricky for me YouTube-wise. And the Labour Party depends on the Pakistani vote. In some areas, it's the only vote they have. We have to remember that when we think Keir Starmer has control of his party. He hasn't. His party have these sort of people. She apologised, and I don't know, I suppose a lot of the mass media are going to accept that apology. I don't. I think what she said betrayed a deeply horrible attitude she has to everyone who isn't Pakistani or Bangladeshi. Basically, that's what I think. All right, but yeah, that's just me, and this might be my last hurrah. Okay, I'm Granniopteryx. I'm, for the time being at least, on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I also am on Twitter, Gab and Parler, where I am at Granniopteryx, and on those platforms I let you know when I've uploaded a new video. Don't rely, especially on YouTube, they very often don't tell you. Okay, I would appreciate you helping my channel by liking, sharing, if you dare, and subscribing to my channel. If you are subscribed, especially on YouTube, check that you are still subscribed, please. And you can help me financially as well. Buy me a coffee, click one of the links below and in the description where There's PayPal and Subscribestar if you prefer those. With Subscribestar, you can do a one-off, by the way. Okay, right, that's it. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.